Okay. I believe we are live on the Facebooks, the YouTubes, the Instagrams. We got this thing going all over. And I'm joined today by a very special guest, Nicole Borowski. I'll give an official intro, but Nicole, wave at everybody. Say
hi,
hello.
everybody. Very excited to be here.
Very excited to have you. So I am doing, it is live. So hang on one second. We're just getting the, social media stuff figured out. So I am live with at Nicole Borowski. Share now. So Nicole, that's loading or posting onto my page right now. Just maybe keep refreshing until
I'm watching.
Yeah. So we're gonna dance, we're gonna sing just for a couple more seconds here before we get started. So if you're tuning in live with us, hello. Appreciate that. If you're watching the replay, you might want to fast forward 30 seconds or so.
I'm good, by the way.
You're good now. Okay, beautiful. All right, so let's roll, guys. This is officially round 11. We've already done 11 rounds or episodes, if you will, of the Broker Showdown. And if this is your first time tuning in, what the heck is the Broker Showdown? Well, it might be what it sounds like. It's a showdown. It's where we go toe-to-toe with 3 questions each. I get 3 questions for the guest, today being Nicole, and she gets 3 questions back. Neither of us have any idea what we're going to ask the other person, so it's fun, it's edgy, it's on the fly, and I always get nervous. I always get little butterflies. What about you, Nicole?
I do. I'm a little bit, there's no do-overs here.
There's no do-overs. You got to think.
No retakes.
Hopefully you had a good breakfast, you got a good sleep, because you got to be on your toes today, right?
Yes. Yep.
But we love doing these. We love featuring great leaders, just people out there making it happen, servant-driven hearts, and Nicole is no exception to that. I've known her for, I don't know, probably a couple of years now, and I can tell you without question, firsthand, she is insanely smart, very professional. And yet behind a lot of that, she's incredibly creative. Like the videos, if you're not following Homestead and some of the videos that they put out there, you got to check them out if you're not, because they are really actually entertaining and informative. And it just shows your heart, gives a glimpse behind the scenes of what it's really like to be a part of Homestead Realty. So we're very excited. I can't wait to dive into all this with you. So broker owner, Homestead Realty, also principal of Homestead Mortgage. I don't want to steal your thunder, so I'm going to kick it to you. Give us a quick intro of anything else you want to share, where you're located, all that fun stuff, and then I'll take it from there.
Sure. So my name is Nicole Borowski. I am the broker owner of Homestead Realty. We are located in southeastern Wisconsin. Our main office is in Wauwatosa, and we have several other locations and agents really throughout the state. I've been doing this for 6 years now, and I love it. And I also have joint ventureships with a title company and a mortgage company. We have close to 300 agents, so I'm super busy on a day-to-day basis. I'm really excited to be here. And before I forget, Jake, I just want to thank you for not only this opportunity today, but really all of the opportunities that have been given to me and my agents through our partnership with the Locker Room. I am super fortunate to have crossed paths with you and partner with you guys.
Well, that's very kind, and it works both ways. That's the best part of what makes it a partnership, is it's a win-win, great deal of mutual respect for what each other does. And you are building quite the empire. And I know how you do it is because you build people first, and you've got a great group of team leaders and agents, of course, and staff members around you that allows all of that to be possible while you still have a life. And we're going to get into some of that a little bit today. So
yes, 100%.
Yeah, doing a great job. So
thank you.
Real quick about me, if this is our first time hanging out, Jake Dixon, founder, CEO of the Locker Room. We're a real estate coaching and training company that largely specializes in working with broker owners, like Nicole, where we coach, we develop, we consult the leadership while also providing training and resources, kind of this all-inclusive package experience for all of the agents as well. And so I'm also a co-founder in the Locker Room Leadership and Coaching Academy with my partner, Kit Fusil. That's an ICF accredited institution, and just entrepreneur, author of a couple books by now, content creator, father,
the list goes on.
What else can I say, right? All the things. But
All of it.
today's not about me. We're going to bring Nicole back here. Here we go. And I'm ready to dive in. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. All right.
Give me a tough one.
I got some good ones for you today. All right. So here's my first question. And spoiler alert, I do like to ask this question to all of my guests. And I think it just reveals so much about the leadership and polished, professionalism of how you go about articulating your value. So here's my question. If I was an agent right now watching this, perhaps in your market, considering a change, maybe I'm looking around right now for moving my license to a different brokerage, tell me what your unique value proposition is and why somebody like me should consider joining.
Good question. And if you had asked me this a year ago, I would have answered with our commission plan, which we have a great commission plan, but I need to thank my coaches, Kristen and Kevin, for very politely telling me that a commission plan is not a unique value proposition and really challenging me to dig deep on that value proposition. So as I was thinking about what we offer and what we provide, the word build kept coming up. And as I thought about it more, 6 years ago, I was a newbie broker owner. I came into it with eyes wide open and a lot of energy. And it allowed us as a company to innovate and grow with our agents, which has been a really fun and unique experience. So we take agent feedback here very seriously. We're always talking with our agents. We send out surveys. We're not constrained by franchise rules. We're an indie. So that's allowed us to make some pretty massive changes in the last 6 years, which has been positive for the growth of our company as well as our agents. So some examples of that are we've opened several new office locations. We implemented a broker hotline. We created an entire marketing department. We rolled out a mentor program. We partnered with the Locker Room as an exclusive coach partner in Milwaukee County. Sorry, I think I lost you guys for a second. And so much more. So the creativity and the innovation and growing with our agents has been a really cool thing to be a part of, and something that I think is unique to Homestead.
Mm-hmm. I love that, Nicole. And by the way, we heard you the whole time, so we're good.
Okay, cool.
I wrote down a couple of things as you were answering that. I love build. And how you had that epiphany or were led down the road of having the epiphany that it's not the comp plan. And you've heard me say that before, right? Of how I went on this interview kind of binge of 100 broker owners in 90 days. And I asked them a series of questions, one of which is the question I just asked you.
Yeah.
And as I'm documenting the answers, a significant portion of them did not respond the way you just responded. In fact, they responded the old way. It's, well, we've got this cap or split, or we share this back. And those things are great. I'm not just discrediting that those are factors, but there's nothing unique about them, which is why I emphasize what is your unique value proposition. So
yes,
love your answer. I wrote down grow with. I wrote down feedback, because feedback is the breakfast of champions. You are not afraid to ask. And whatever they say, you generally want to hear, good, bad, or indifferent. And maybe my favorite is being agile, the ability to pivot because you are independent and you're really in tune with the agent's needs, not what you think they want, but because you're willing to ask the questions and listen, you deliver what they say they want or need.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. We truly, it is my belief system that, if we as the brokerage are serving our agents at a high level, that they are in the best position possible to serve their clients at a high level. So we are always kind of chasing after that next thing that's going to support our agents.
So follow-up question, because this is my show. I get to do, this doesn't count against my 3 though. Okay. If I'm watching this, let's say I'm an agent and I'm concerned, well, yeah, that all sounds great, but you've got almost 300 agents. Or maybe I'm a fellow broker owner. I'm like, how do you deliver that individualized approach and truly listening to the needs and wants of your agent base
Mhm.
without kind of stereotyping or casting a generalized net. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we actually have a system built at our brokerage where between myself and my husband, who I own the company with, along with our leadership team, we have frequent reach outs to our agents. We have a goal of touching base with our agents a certain number of times a year. Most often than not, we have chats with them. We beat that number, but we love having those one-on-one conversations. We take notes on it. We take that feedback back to the leadership team and see what we can do with it. So that's our way to really have an individualized approach to a solution for a company of 300 agents.
So I just love that point, because sometimes our minds can play tricks on us and we create stories of, well, if I grow to a sizable agent count in this case, that must mean I sacrifice the individual. And you have cracked the code where it's a yes and, not an either or. So again, systematizing the outreach, the connections, people just want to know that they're valued, they're heard, and they feel supported and encouraged and along the way. And I know you're delivering that at a very high level right now. So high five.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Awesome. All right.
My turn?
You did it. That's just one though. I got two more.
I got through one. Cool.
Your turn. Over to you.
We broke the ice. All right. My turn. All right. I've got to pull up my questions here. All right. I have a couple 2-part questions, so I hope you don't mind. But my first question is, what do you feel makes the locker room different from other coaching programs? And what do you look for in a broker partner and in a coach?
Okay, that's 3 questions. Because broker partner and coach, those are different things. All right. So I might need you to repeat back to me, but
Okay.
the first part of that is, what do I believe makes us different from, was it other coaching
Coaching platforms? Yeah.
Yeah. Very good question. And I don't mean to dance around. This is truly my answer. I don't, maybe this would be interesting. So let me know if you guys watching this have a different opinion, whether you think this is a good move, a dumb move, makes me a bad or a good business owner. I kind of don't really care what others are doing. I don't pay attention very much to them. Now, some would say, well, you got to benchmark and know your competition. And I'm like, dude, every minute that I spend focusing on them is one less minute I get to focus on ourselves and delivering the value that we promise the people that we're meant to run with. And so wrapped into that is kind of my answer. I see out there, and teach their own, some who tout they're number one in this and the best in that. And I'm just like, I'm not even playing that game, because Simon Sinek taught me differently after I read the Infinite Game book that he wrote. Who gets to decide who's best? Who gets to decide what number one is? All I give 2 rips about is if I'm seen as number one in the eyes of the people that I'm meant to serve, and I'm over delivering above and beyond the big promises we delivered on, or promised them in the first place. So I don't know if that quite answers it. I mean, I could go down the road of, well, we're this and that, and we're all inclusive. We don't upsell, and growth, retention, productivity, profitability, and all the bells and whistles that we create, because I believe our stuff is really good. I would put our content, our training, our material up against truly any company. But to me, it's not about that. It's about the people. It's about the community. We call ourselves a tribe of misfits internally, because we want to be different. I believe one of the quickest paths to success, or to be different in the context of your question, stems from the Blue Ocean Strategy book. A very, very influential book that I read years ago that helped shape who we are in the direction we're heading today. And it's just a matter of observing what the masses are doing and kind of doing the exact opposite. Some of you know Savannah Bananas. Well, the owner of Savannah Bananas wrote a great book called Fans First. So as long as
I've read that one.
Yeah, put the fans first, put the customer experience first. Everything else is going to take care of itself, whether we're the best or number one, this or that, or anything. I don't care too much about the accolades or recognition piece. I care about real transformation. And I think running with a group of other coaches, as well as other partners and leaders like you, that is the differentiating factor. It's the people. It's not the stuff,
Yeah.
especially in the AI driven world. The community and realness and authenticity of which we're able to interact and grow and learn with each other in a collaborative space. I know this is a long-winded answer. You opened it up. That's the reason it's called the locker room. Early on, when I started this in 2016, I almost called it Jake Dixon coaching, like John Maxwell, and nothing against that. But I didn't want it to be about one person. I wanted to flip the model on its head and say, no, it's everybody together. Your perspectives and mine is what makes us unique, because we can move at the speed of sound and get ahead of any market, initiative or market trends and things like that, because it's not this top-down approach. It's not what Jake says is the gospel, and therefore any other disagreement is wrong. It's this melting pot of perspectives and ideas that allows us to adapt and be agile, just kind of like what you said about homestead.
Yeah. And I would agree. I mean, I think so. We've known each other at least a few years.
Yeah.
We just partnered together a year ago. What I loved about you guys was that you just came from a place of value. You weren't trying to really sell to me. And, so I saw that in action, and I really loved that about you guys.
Well, thank you. And I don't know that all of that answered, but you said, what do we look for in a coach? I'll be brief on this one, or a partner. Honestly, I look for all the intangibles. I look at heart. I look at positivity. Is this somebody I would want to have a drink with after a long day? Or am I running for the hill saying, get me away from this person? Like, I look at all of the almost non-measurables, but it's an intuition. It's a vibe. It's a connection before I look at experience. And part of that was influenced by a former company experience that I had, without naming names, where, well, you couldn't be a coach unless you had closed 75 or more deals a year for 5 consecutive years, or some crazy stupid stuff like that. I'm like, who cares? What you get oftentimes with somebody who has done it, and after all, if you haven't done it, therefore you can't teach others. Yeah, right. I'm living proof that's not true at all. What I have found actually is when you have criteria like that, and that's how you make hiring or partnership decisions, you end up getting a lot of ego. You end up getting a lot of professional advice givers. And I believe in the truest sense of coaching, which is largely the art of asking great questions, holding people accountable, which I know I can coach Nicole Borowski's of the world, or a brand new baby broker who's just starting out, because I don't have to know it all or be the information source. I just have to know the powerful and right questions to ask at the right time.
Yeah. Love that.
So, all right. Did that capture most of it for you?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
That's a really good, that was a big one to start with. So now you got my wheels spinning here. All right. Now let me get my questions pulled up. So my second question for you is, so you've got a interesting background, like a lot of folks, but you came into real estate from the corporate world, from what I know. So talk to me about that transition. What was the deprogramming that you had to go through based on that life, that experience, and what you realized you needed to embrace again, the reprogramming, in other words? So like, what was that experience that helped shape your decisions and the way you choose to operate the brokerage today?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'm a certified public accountant. I worked for over 12 years at a Fortune 100 company right out of college. And I am to this day super thankful for the opportunities that I was awarded there, and sort of like climbing the corporate ladder and learning about organizations and business and all of that kind of stuff. And it really helped shape me professionally and how I operate today and going forward as a business owner. As far as what I deprogrammed, I guess I would start with the things that I didn't deprogram. So my last day in corporate America was on a Monday, and I was in the Homestead office the following day, Tuesday, ready to go. And I still to this day spend almost every day of the week in the office. Work from home people, don't come for me, but I love being in person around my people, having those conversations, just sort of building relationships, being around like-minded people. We encourage our agents to do that as well, especially our newer agents, to just come in, have those conversations, be around your people. So that definitely was not deprogrammed. Another thing that I would say was not deprogrammed for me was the structure that I learned in corporate America. I think there's a reason that we as humans thrive on structure. It works. And part of the changes and the innovation that I talked about in the first question was, enhancing the structure at Homestead or building it where it wasn't there, by creating systems and policies and processes and technology where it was needed. We have close to 300 agents, and we are able to support them at a really high level because of the structure that we've built, in addition to, and if you guys are watching, in addition to the amazing staff at Homestead. I mean, they're truly angels on earth, and I would not be able to do that without them.
I love that. So here's what I've got, and I do have a follow-up on this. You started by answering the programming that you actually kept from the corporate world that is serving you well. And I wrote down 3 main things, which is a mindset of a CEO, leaving that career on a Monday and in the office the next day at Homestead on a Tuesday. You approach this day one because of your experience and background with a CEO mindset. Number 2, you emphasize being in office, being very present, which I personally appreciate, going into that work environment, causing you to get up, put the game face on, dress appropriately, and go somewhere, not just roll out of bed when you feel like it, which brings me to number 3, structure, routine, rhythm. So all those things from corporate America that you brought with you has skyrocketed. It's 6 years, you said, borderline 300 agents, that's a rocket ship. That's not normal. And I think there is a lot of credit to be given to what you carried with you. What did you cut out from the corporate world?
What did I cut? I sort of cut the corporate hierarchy. I never liked that when I was an employee, reporting to somebody. So that corporate hierarchy at from where I came from is kind of gone at Homestead. I also cut, it's kind of funny, I as an employee, I didn't really, and as a manager, I didn't really like doing one-on-ones. And so for a long time, I didn't do one-on-ones, although I've sort of circled back on those and kind of come back to those now 6 years into being a broker owner. But for a while, I loved being able to have an open door policy, come see me when you need something, when you want something, that kind of thing. But that can result in a lot of interruptions. So I've kind of gone back to the one-on-one route. And then another thing that I cut out, and it's kind of funny. So in my former roles, I developed budgets all day, every day. That was my job. And you could not pay me to create a budget after I left corporate America. I just did not even want to think about it or look at a budget. But Kristen and Kevin did have me do one recently. And I was reminded of the benefit to doing a budget, holding your numbers accountable, knowing your revenue and where it's coming from and all that kind of stuff. So some of these things I sort of dropped and then regained back throughout time.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So relatable, and not to steal the thunder here, but what you just said, that last part reminded me of a former life of mine where I started and grew an indoor baseball training facility. And I did that, no breaks, 24/7, Monday through Sunday, just nonstop for 3 consecutive years. And I loved it. Met some amazing people, and kids have gone off and gotten drafted and college scholarships. It's been awesome. But I carried that same thing, Nicole. It's I am so freaking burnt out. When I left that or decided to move on to something else, I didn't want to touch a baseball. I didn't want to talk pitching drills and hitting drills. And it's been this slow gathering now that one of my daughters is back to playing softball. I'm All right, I am back. I can see it a
Yeah.
little bit, but
Yeah.
yes, it is so interesting how that works, you know?
Yeah. Just need to take a break, need to take a break
Yeah,
for a while. Yeah.
no doubt about it. So cool. Well, I love those perspectives. I think people's origin stories is one of the most fascinating questions anybody we could ever ask each other. And your story, and there's so much more to it, but from corporate into real estate and how that's benefited you, and some of the things you've had to unprogram from it as well, is just super fascinating to me. So
Cool.
thank you.
Thank you. My turn?
All right, over to you. Yep.
All right. So my question is kind of along those same lines, and I'm sorry, I will bring up baseball again. So you are a former baseball player. How did that experience shape you as an entrepreneur? And I apologize because this is another two-part question. I am a mom to young athletes. So what advice would you give to young athletes?
Mm. Okay, let me get my business hat on first. So if I don't answer that last one, come back to it. How did athletics shape me? And this, I'm not special. I'm not different than a lot of people out there who have either played sports or anything at a high degree. You learn things and apply those things that you've learned into whatever's next, right? So that's the context of the question. For me personally, I've said this before that in my case, baseball is a game of failure. And we know this to be true because if you get in the Hall of Fame, you as a hitter, you have succeeded 3 out of 10 times. That's like horrible. If I was doing an assessment in school, I failed. That's a big fat F for my grade. But in baseball, failure and failing 7 out of 10 times still gets you in the Hall of Fame. And I share this with folks that you think about it, baseball / softball is the only sport that I can think of where the defense is actually in control of the ball. Every other sport, you're considered to be on offense if you control the ball, but not baseball or softball. And so what I take from that is many, many lessons. I have a whole training on this question, in fact. But a couple is discipline, surprise, surprise. But I can't operate my business based on how I feel today. Right. And that's where I see a lot of agents, broker owners go wrong is they wake up and how am I feeling today? And sometimes you have to remove the feeling, remove the emotion. You're allowed to feel, but it can sabotage you if you're not careful because there's plenty of days. And I know you get what I'm saying. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like calling 5 people. I don't feel like doing whatever it is, but I got to adult. And I'm a business owner and I'm an entrepreneur and I've got to still show up, get over myself and however I'm feeling and show up for the people that are depending on me. So it's kind of that out of body experience. And I got a lot of that resilience or discipline from the sport. One thing as far as how it's influenced my teaching style or my coaching style is, listen, I understand and yes, I'm behind it. There's a place for things like artificial intelligence and all these sexy topics that if you see it come across your email inbox, that's the one you're clicking on to open and everything else is considered boring. Well, I'm a boring guy, I guess. I'm a time on task over time, regardless of artificial intelligence. Why? Because I believe in mastering the fundamentals. The same way I taught a kid how to grip a bat or hold the ball correctly is literally the same way those guys in the major leagues earning millions of dollars are doing. I've never met a black belt in karate who hasn't mastered the fundamentals. Like, think about this stuff. And yet so many of us want that secret sauce, that overnight success tip that's going to make all the difference in the world. Well, guess what? This is still a contact sport. We're still in the human business. At the heart of the transaction is you and me, and we got to know how to communicate and master the fundamentals together. Mm-hmm. So I get that there's a place for all of that, but my style is just simplifying down to the granular, the analogy of holding the ball and gripping the bat, nothing sexy about it. But if you don't master that, you're literally choosing to make things harder on yourself because you're chasing shiny objects all over the place.
Yeah.
I have a zillion more answers for that, but I know we don't have time. So what advice would I give young athletes was the second part?
Yes. Yes.
Be coachable, right? I don't care how good you think you are. You're doing all this hot dog showboat and stuff because you saw somebody on the College World Series or on the Major League TV, NBA, NFL, you name it, doing it. Well, guess what? Until you're there earning millions of dollars with sponsorships behind your name, you might want to listen to coach and do things the right way. One of the greatest gifts that was given to me, two quotes from a young coach of mine, act like you've done it before. So if you hit a home run the bases. Stop taking your freaking helmet off and doing all this stupid stuff just for show. You look like an idiot. Act like you've done it before. And then the quote that stuck with me since I was 11, shout out to Stubby, you know who you are, is I was known largely as being a pitcher. He said, although it's nice to have a good fastball, a pitcher's greatest weapon is his confidence. Verbatim. Like, dude, that has stuck with me forever. And so having confidence, being coachable, being accountable to your actions, always showing up early, staying late, getting in that extra swing, that extra ground ball, that extra shot. It's one more and doing a little bit extra that others are unwilling to do. I would also advise young athletes to play as many sports as possible for as long as possible. I think travel ball and stuff like that is killing our youth. Mm-hmm. That's why I have I didn't play travel ball necessarily, but I have a big scar on my arm. And now it's just like this normal thing because they're burnout, they're overused. Just because you're a stud at 12 years old, nobody's going to remember that. Sorry. I know that's brutal for parents to hear. I'm one of them, but nobody's going to remember. Okay. Yeah. We can be proud, but that's not going to dictate. And I'd rather you pull out the life lessons and disciplines that sports and things can teach you than just saying, woohoo, I got a ribbon because we won the 12U championship that nobody's going to remember when I'm 40.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I'm going to have my kids, especially my almost 12-year-old, watch some of this. So
yeah, you are giving me big topics that I could land on if it's not obvious to our viewers right now. I could go on
questions.
Yeah. Those are good ones. So very good. All right. I've got one more for you. Here.
One more. Okay.
My third question is, maybe this is a two-parter. Well, we'll see. What is the biggest challenge that you see agents facing today, and how would you lead them to overcoming those challenges? Give us a glimpse at your leadership.
Okay. I would say, obviously there's a lot of different issues that our agents can face, and some of it's going to depend on, where they're at in their career, whether they're new versus, more experienced. I think the one that I see pretty commonly is building and maintaining a pipeline. So unless if an agent comes from some kind of sales background, and I don't think that you need to come from a sales background to be a great real estate agent. In fact, I've seen teachers and individuals that come from, like the restaurant and hospitality industries be great agents. So I don't think you have to have a sales experience, but unless if you come from sales, building a pipeline can be somewhat mystifying. And so, my advice to agents is that you have to put, kind of like what you were talking about, Jake, with sports, like you have to put in the time consistently, daily, to work on your business, not in your business, which is like being out, doing showings, that kind of thing, working on your business, which means prospecting. And this might be a couple of hours a day if you're a newer agent, and maybe if you're an experienced agent, not as much. But that means that you're time blocking, you're putting it in your calendar, you're holding yourself accountable. You maybe have an accountability partner. You're recognizing and understanding that different leads will convert at different times. You're knowing, you're being a student of the market, right? You're knowing your local market conditions and how they affect, what your clients or your prospective clients are going to do. And it's building your systems, it's automating your systems, whether it's a CRM or something else, to really handle that and sort of take some of the manual work out of it. And I see agents master this. And then I see agents become, really great, and they're building their pipeline, and then they get burned out, or they are focusing so much on, closing their current business. And then all of a sudden they're left with nothing. And so that's why I think like this issue can affect new versus experienced agents alike. And I think if you go back to that foundation of just being consistent and intentional about it, that it can make such a difference in their business.
Yeah. That's so spot on and so relatable, because I know if anybody's familiar with the DISC, one of my highest scores is I'm a high DI. And so we crave variety. One of my, what's Kristen called, my fatal flaws is I like variety. I'm known to tinker. And I think, ooh, we should do this. That's new. That's creative. That's exciting. And in fact, I'm actively learning this as I think still a young entrepreneur, that actually you want boring. Master the mundane. When it's boring, odds are that means things are working.
Yes.
Leave it alone. Has that been your experience?
Totally. I mean, I mean, the boring is where the magic is, right? Like that's with anything you do, like whether you're trying to lose weight or whatever, like that's where the fundamentals are, and that's where the progress is made.
That's right. So you gave some great, I just want to recap some things as you were rattling them off to my question, then I'll have a follow-up. Sure. When I asked her, what are you seeing agents facing today as the greatest challenge, and how would you work with them to overcome that? I heard pipeline for sure, having a pipeline and knowing how to appropriately manage and attend to it. Working on the business versus in it, more of a time blocking and knowing the difference between the two, like prospecting. Visibility, you didn't exactly say this, but I wrote it down. Visibility and accountability. When you're visible, because remember, you're a 1099 independent contractor. Nope, you don't have to wake up to an alarm clock. You don't have a boss technically. I mean, there's a different shift in a lot of people's behaviors and mindsets when they become self-employed. And visibility, I think, is equally, if not more important than accountability, even though they go hand in hand. I've got to be visible. And that goes back to one of your, I'd say it's a value of yours, is being present, being in the office, going physically to work, because when you do that, you're suited up. You got your jersey on, your uniform
ready to go.
Ready to go. Therefore, it makes you more accountable. Know the game, know the market, be that local economist of choice. And then finally, you said systems. Yes. Great checklist of things that are common, no matter new experience, doesn't matter. Take any one of those things that Nicole just said and distill it down. What is the fundamentals? Yes. What can be automated and simplified? What still requires the human element, but don't get too creative. Let it get boring, actually.
Yes. Yes. I love that, because if you're ever in a Facebook group, a real estate Facebook group, it feels like there's tons of shiny new objects all the time in those groups. And it's like, you just want to scream, like, go back to the basics, go back to the fundamentals.
Just go talk to people. Hello. Okay. Here's a follow-up. I'm cheating. You don't care. Give us a sense of maybe what's one of the biggest challenges you have had to overcome. How did you do it, and what did you learn from it?
Oh gosh. I would say, and this is, I don't even know that I've fully overcome this, but one of the biggest things I struggle with, more so in the past when especially when I was a baby broker, was setting boundaries. That was a huge challenge when I was new, especially because, I was newer. And so I thought, okay, the best thing I can do is like pick up the phone. And that's what I did. I mean, I would pick up the phone early in the morning, late at night, as I'm walking my kids to school, as we're eating dinner, as I'm giving them a bath, and it really started to wear on me, almost to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, like, did I make the right decision? I came from a 9 to 5 where my hours were, give or take pretty much the same every day. But I told myself, okay, can't complain about something that I haven't done anything to fix, right? So and again, this is a work in progress for me always, because I feel like as business owners, our businesses can bleed into our lives all the time, right? But I have set boundaries for myself. An example of one of those is between the hours of 7 and 8, I don't pick up calls. I don't check emails. That's my hour of getting my kids ready for school. And as parents, we all know how freaking chaotic that is already, that I'm not going to add to it. So I really try to enforce the boundaries that I've set for myself. I feel like it's healthy. I tell my agents and my staff to do that as well, because, the alternative is that you end up burning out. And that's the last thing that you want to happen.
Yeah. Well, then you're no good to anybody. I appreciate that answer and vulnerability a little bit there, because that is such a relatable thing, of we got to know when to shut it off.
Mhm.
We got to decompress too, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And if that's where burnout and resentment and all these ugly words begin to thrive, is when you let yourself get to that way, all because you're responding to other people's lack of preparation or chaoses,
Right.
when you're not taking care of yourself at the same time first.
Yes.
So,
100%.
well, and it's a work in progress, as you put it.
Always.
Um,
Always.
that's a sign of a great leader, is they can admit and have that level of awareness and be actively working on themselves to that solution. So
Yeah.
kudos.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. I think you've got one more for me.
Okay.
Great.
Kristen helped me come up with this question. So, what is your 5-year vision / plan? And I apologize if this is another big or long one for you.
No, I'll try to be brief. I know we've been going for a while, but 5-year vision. And is that in the context of personal, professional life, or does it?
Any.
Okay. Well, 5 years from now, the year is 2030. 5 years from now, I will have a 17 and a 17 and a 15-year-old. Oh man, that's crazy. Almost. So here's my not so, I don't know, grandiose answer. I love what I do. I want to continue doing what I'm currently doing with the people I'm doing it with. Like, I have goals for 1 year from now. Anything beyond that, I have vision for. I have a vision of what my life would look like and feel like in 5 years. But for me to sit here and say, oh, well, Nicole, see, I'm going to have this, and this, things change. And I'm kind of, I go with it, and I don't resist some of the things that I just can't control. None of us saw COVID or anything like that coming. So if I thought 5 years prior to COVID, I would have all the answers to that kind of a question, I'm lying to myself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stress over it.
Yeah.
So I will try to give some substance to it. 5 years in business, I would love to, I want, how should I answer this? I want to introduce other verticals, like more emphasis on community, like group community masterminds, more events that bring people together, and we're just the facilitators of that. I'm especially interested in consulting work. So it's more shorter sprints. You've got a very specific problem you're seeking a very specific solution for, and taking me or any one of our coaches could be, maybe it's a 2-day, maybe it's 30 days together. I don't know, but shorter sprints with big outcomes, because I believe, and recently read an article that I agree with, that people, leaders, agents seeking coaching and support in that world are more about implementation and results than ever before, not information. Information is a commodity. I mean, you go to YouTube, Chat GPT, information is not what people are paying for anymore. It's not the exchange of value anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the implementation and guaranteed result, essentially, by working together with X period of time, is where I see us introducing something more intentional, like consulting work, besides just our longer term partnership relationship that we have right now. So I definitely see myself writing another book between now and then. More than likely, I kind of caught the bug a little bit, but I want to be smart and strategic about it, so I don't feel like I've got to become a John Maxwell. Personal life, I want one, if not two, cabin on a lake. I'm seeing it in my mind's eye right now, so I'm looking over investment properties, because it is insanely important to me that, not knowing our time on earth, that while my children are still young, I can create memories that last a lifetime and experiences that last a lifetime with them, so that when I'm no longer here physically on earth, those memories far outlast me. That's legacy. It's the emotional or intellectual property that you leave inside of another person versus inheritance. I'm not doing it for inheritance. I'm not doing it, number one, for wealth building. Okay.
Yeah.
I want that little, maybe even a little beat up cabin on that lake, where we've got the dock, the pontoon boat sitting out over there with the tube tied up to it. But there's that chair over there in this corner that my girls remember dad sitting in that chair, sipping coffee, journaling in his journal every morning. And at the time, they're like, dad's just doing whatever. But when they grow up to be our age, they now appreciate and see things like that. And don't tell them. They just happen to be right next to me. I have been journaling to both of my daughters pre-birth. And I had continue. It's on my calendar to journal to them today as we just got back from a vacation and some other stuff. And they don't know I'm doing this, but I will one day gift that to them at high school graduation or something like that. So it's a collection of their life and my perspective on that. Those are the things that matter to me, Nicole. So when you ask, what does my personal life look like? It's flooded with as many firsts and experiences and memories as I can possibly make it between now and 5 years from now, because it's going to go like that.
For sure.
So,
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. My kids are almost 12 and almost 9. And it seems like those years have gone by in the blink of an eye. So,
yeah. I mean, 5 years ago seems like, 5 years ago seems like just a fleeting moment. 5 years from now seems like an eternity.
Yeah.
So it's always in hindsight. And the time is going to pass anyways, which is why, to your question, I don't get so tripped up in having to perfectly articulate where I am in 5 years, because I'm going to go where I feel called.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be directions and different things that I'm not even exposed to, people I don't even know yet, that are going to happen between now and 5 years, that I'm just going to continue to follow my heart, stick in my strength zone, do it with people that I love, that make me better and push me to become more. And I don't know, I don't have to have all the answers of what that actually looks like in 5 years, but I'm going to have fun along the way and do it with people that I care about.
For sure. I love that.
Yeah. So thanks for that question. Yes, I should maybe give a better, more succinct, in 5 years, we're going to be at this many people.
No, I don't even know how anybody could answer it.
Yeah, I have that for 1 year. I don't for 5. It's just too far away. And I've seen too much happen in a year, let alone 5, to try and think I can game it out like that.
Right.
Can't. So, okay. This has been freaking awesome, loaded with value. I've had so much fun, as I knew I would with you, but I'm going to surprise you with one more bonus question before we wrap things up.
Okay.
I couldn't decide. So I'm like,
one more.
We'll just blame it on it's the exit question. Okay.
Bring it on.
Yeah, thanks. So I am curious though, because you're such a, again, very smart, polished, professional business mind. And I love getting in the mind of people like you. So what is maybe a piece of advice that you have been given somewhere along the way that you might want to pass to our audience today?
Oh, that's a good one. Piece of advice that I've been given. So when we first took over Homestead, the original owner, who I highly respect and admire, told me a story about how he had gone at some point to pick up some office furniture from another broker owner who was closing down shop because he had not done what was needed to grow. Mm-hmm. And he told me, if you're not growing, you're dying. And I feel like that's one of those things that we hear all the time. Mm-hmm. And it's become kind of cliche, and so much so that we don't even really think about it, right? When we hear that saying, but that story and that advice stuck with me so much so that every day I ask myself, what is one thing I did today to grow? And that could be professionally, personally. I try to hold myself accountable every day to growing in some way, shape, or form. And so for anybody listening today, whether you're an agent or otherwise, I would encourage you to ask yourself that same question every day. It should really be every day. What did I do to grow? Did I prospect? Did I participate in the trainings that my brokerage is offering? Hint, hint. Did you go into your office? Did you have a conversation with a like-minded individual? Did you read a book? Did you listen to a podcast? Did you talk to an accountability partner? Did you time block? Whatever the case might be, it's just got to be something. And I love the book Atomic Habits. We actually read it as a brokerage last year. And there's a principle, I can't think of the name of it, but it basically says that if you get 1% better every day, 1% doesn't seem like a whole lot. Seems very doable, right? But if you get 1% better every day, you'll be 37 times better by the time that the year is over. And so I would encourage everybody to just think of it in terms of that, just trying to get 1% better every day and, see how things look like a year from now.
Lot of truth and wisdom rolled into what you just shared there, which I think is awesome. I'm gonna be thinking of what you just shared there when we're wrapping up here, and it actually makes me think right now of, maybe some of you have heard this before, 212 degrees. Right? What's significant about 212 degrees? Well, that's the boiling point of water, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so at 211 degrees, it's just really freaking hot water. Don't stick your finger in it, okay? But that one extra degree takes it from really hot water to boiling water. And as the analogy continues on, boiling water produces steam. Steam can power a locomotive, blah, 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 blah. So it really is in that moment of decision and the sweating the small stuff to say, how did I grow today? How did I become 1% better? Did I give it that one extra ounce or degree of effort, knowing that I can rest easy, saying I showed up for myself and my family today, and tomorrow I'll be at it again.
Yep.
So that is so
Restart
good.
every day.
Nicole, you are you're an amazing leader, and your agents, your team, your leadership around you is so fortunate. I don't have to say that to kiss your butt. I say that for real, and I've seen you in action. We've known each other long enough that leaders like you don't come around often. And I hope anybody watching this, definitely appreciates you and takes the time out of the day to share that appreciation. But also maybe those who are watching from afar, back to my very first question, maybe they want to have a conversation with you, whether it's an agent in your market, in the state, or a fellow broker owner. So if that were the case, if that person was listening right now, what would be the best way that they should go about reaching out to you?
I can be reached on. I answer everything. Yeah. Facebook, my phone number, my email. This is going to be posted on all of our social channels. Yeah. So if you reach out to one of our social channels, you can reach me. And I'd love to talk to people that I haven't had the opportunity to meet yet. So
love it. Take her up on it, guys. She's a go-giver. She's gives first and doesn't expect anything in return, but definitely have the conversation. We're so grateful for your time today. I know we're butting the hour here, but this was great. Your wisdom, your insights, world-class. Your questions were tough. They were big ones, but hopefully I gave some sort of a quality answer back. So.
You were awesome. And I just want to reiterate, I'm, truly, you've built a great community here with the locker room, and I'm just super excited to be a part of it and thankful for the opportunities that you provide to us all the time. So
it's an honor. It's a pleasure. Yeah. Thank you. Couldn't do it without leaders like you. So, yeah. All right, everybody, that's a wrap. Round 11 of the Broker Showdown is in the books. Comment below. Not that this is a competition of like trying to stump each other, but who won? Who won? Give Nicole some love. Leave her some comments below. Let her know what you got from everything she shared. And we'll see you next time. We got more on the books, so keep tuning back to our Broker Showdowns. If there's anything I can do, or Nicole for that matter, in the meantime, let us know. We're here to serve.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you, Jake.